Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea, shining sea.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the second annual Blue Water Council of the Boy Scouts Friends of Scouting Luncheon. We want to welcome you all here today. My name is John Adair. I am the current immediate past president of the Scouts, at least for another month. And it's my pleasure to be your MC today to guide you through our luncheon. We promise to keep you on time so that we can get you back to your busy days. And so we're going to get right into the program. And in the rear of the room, we've got a group of Scouts who will present the colors.
Colors.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard retreat.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now I call on Scout Sebastian Stone. Sebastian, come on up, who will say, you can be seated. We'll have Sebastian come up and say our grace.
All right, the grace is in the middle of your pamphlet. If you want to see it, it's the Philmont Grace. Please bow your head for prayer. For food, for raiment, for life, for opportunity, for friendship, for fellowship, we thank thee, O Lord. Amen.
Good job, Sebastian. Okay, please begin to eat your meal. We want to keep going. I'm going to speak just for a second here as you begin, though. But this is the second annual luncheon, and I'd like, by a show of hands, please raise your hand if you came last year. Were you here last year? All right. Well, we want to welcome all the new people who've come this year. We've expanded, I think, by approximately 50%. We keep growing every year. So I guess you need some food to eat first, don't you? Yeah. We'll have the staff bring out the meals, unless you want to eat your cake first. This is a fantastic luncheon, and it's grown every year. We want to give special thanks to the table hosts who have brought you all here today at the invitation, and we'll have more about that a little bit later. We're going to dispense with the announcement of all the public officials in the room, because that would take all of the program to do so. But I would like to acknowledge one, Sheriff Dan Lane. Sheriff Lane, please stand. Where is the sheriff? The sheriff is here. By the authority vested in me as the immediate past president of the Boy Scout Council, I'm appointing Sheriff Lane as a Sergeant of Arms for today's luncheon, Sergeant at Arms, and he will come around and take all the cell phones who ring during the luncheon today. So this is your opportunity now to turn off your cell phones so that the sheriff won't come around and confiscate them. Thank you very much. Well, as soon as the meal is here, please go ahead and begin. Thank you. First order of business I'd like to do is to give great thanks to Citizens First. Citizens First is a proud sponsor of this luncheon today, and Marsh Campbell's here, and all the senior vice presidents of the bank, and including Will Oldford, who is the current council president. As I mentioned earlier, this is the second annual luncheon. It's also the second annual opportunity to receive the contribution from Citizens First to make this all possible. And when we approached the bank going in last year, it was a fantastic response for them. So let's please give a hand to Citizens First, Marshall Campbell. I'd like to now call on John Hauser. John is now employed by the Boy Scouts. He was formerly on the board of directors, a volunteer board member, and recently joined the staff as a district executive of the Boy Scout Council. Many of you know John. John is a member of the Rotary Club, and he's here to introduce our guest speaker.
Does this just fit right in here? Well, good afternoon and welcome to sunny Michigan. It was never like this in Ohio, I can tell you that. Anyhow, it has been a great pleasure to serve as chairman of this event, but there are some people that I would like to thank. Certainly the committee members who brought all of you together, the staff at the Scout office, and of course the Thomas Edison Inn. Last year we had approximately 150 people here. This year we've got over 240. So congratulations to everybody who helped make this event possible. Today is a great day to be a friend of scouting, particularly here in the Blue Water area, and I say that because you're in for a real treat. Our speaker today is Mike Schlappe, who will be presenting his inspiring message, "Just because you can't stand up does not mean you can't stand out." As president of his own communication company and confined to a wheelchair, Mike is spreading the word that even though your body might be paralyzed, you can still realize your dreams. Mike will tell you exactly what happened to him that confined him to the wheelchair, but I just wanted to share a few things with you. First of all, he is a 4-time Paralympic medalist in USA men's wheelchair basketball. He's a 2-time world champion in wheelchair basketball. He was an Olympic torch bearer for the 2002 Winter Olympics that were held in his home state of Utah, and he also served on the board of trustees for those Winter Games. This guy plays tennis, winning the USA Open in A Division in 1990 and 1994. He's educated. He earned his master's degree from Arizona State University in business and healthcare, and he has a finance degree from Brigham Young University. Probably most importantly to us, he's an Eagle Scout. And he earned this prior to his injury, but he is not totally unfamiliar with Eagle Scouts in that his father, who was a Scoutmaster, is an Eagle. His 3 brothers are an Eagle, and his son is an Eagle. Mike and his wife Tammy have 5 children and live in Draper, Utah. And now I would strongly suggest that you hold on to your hats and enjoy the ride, because this is going to be an event that you won't long forget. So please give a warm Blue Water welcome to Mike Schlappe.
Thanks, gentlemen. Life was perfect for me as a young man. I just received my Eagle Scout. I grew up in a small Utah town where everybody respected, supported, and trusted each other. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Each of us would look out at the magnificent mountains and the wide open spaces and knew that life was full of unlimited possibilities. Now, my father, in addition to being my scoutmaster, was a high school basketball coach. I was being primed by my father to be an exceptional athlete. My mother, she was busy raising 7 kids. If they made a movie of my family, it would have been called My Big Fat Mormon Wedding. But that is the good life that I was raised in. As I got a little bit older, my best friends were Roger, Phil, and Doug. We'd listen to the Beatles, chase girls, play sports, and I was looking forward to driving in a few short months. And on this particular Friday, my best friends were waiting for me at Lake Ridge Junior High School. The entire school and community were excited about the championship game the next morning. I fixed my little sister Julie's flat bike tire. I ran down the road. I crossed the street. I jumped up the curb. I dashed through the grass. I bounced up the 3 cement stairs, and I banged on the old screen door. Torrey's my friend and teammate, he said, "Mike, come in, come in, come in." We hurried down the hallway. We ended up in his mom and dad's bedroom. There was a gun in a brown leather case on a nightstand. Torrey said, "I like to play around with this gun when my mom and dad aren't home. It's my dad's off-duty police gun. I know where he hides it when he goes to work." I sat on the white bedspread. Torrey took the gun out of the brown leather case, flipped the cylinder that holds the bullets out to the side, and shook it. I watched 4 little silver bullets fall right next to me on the white bedspread. I could have reached out and picked them up. My mind even thought, I wonder how many bullets that gun does hold anyway. I should have said something. Torrey pulled the gun up to his hip, pointed it at my chest, and pulled the trigger. Bang! I remember the sound. Bullet hit my chest, punctured my lung, physically knocked me back onto the bed. I passed out. Torrey freaked out. As I was regaining my consciousness, my biggest problem, I couldn't breathe. I thought, this isn't real. But it was real. Hasn't this happened to you when you think about it? Loss of a loved one, death or divorce, failure. We have challenges and they're very real, and this was real for me at that moment. I tried to get off the bed. My legs wouldn't respond. 2/3 of my body was paralyzed. I saw a blue phone on the wall, and I tried to get to it, and I couldn't move. And I promised God in my own little 15-year-old way, if I'd live, I'd be a better person than I was before. I'd help as many people in this world as I could, and I'd make some changes in my life. I was panicked. I was making all these promises. Torrey came running back in the room, hovered over me, started shaking me. "Mike, you're faking it, you're faking it." I pulled up my shirt, showing the hole in my chest. He ran over to that same blue phone, called my home. My mother answered. "Mrs. Shalappy, come quick, Mike's been hurt." Hung up the phone. Ran out of the room. The next 2 minutes were the longest in my life. I was struggling for air. I was scared to death. I thought I was dying. My mom showed up. I have a feeling there's a couple of mothers in this room. I want you to know you matter. When my mom touched my hand, touched my face, ran her fingers through the back of my hair, my mother's presence gave me hope to hang in there. She ran back to that same blue phone, called 911. Imagine how my friend's father felt as it came across his police radio that there had been a shooting at his address. He showed up, stabilized the situation. They rushed me to the hospital. You know, the body is an amazing creation. You know what saved me? Besides my mom and my friend and the doctors and nurses, my heart was on an in-beat as the bullet sped by the edge. I spent the next 8 days in intensive care. Local newspapers said, "Boy shoots himself." Father leaves loaded revolver on nightstand. Star athlete, student body president clinging for life. I went rock bottom for the first time in my young life. You know the good thing about being rock bottom once in a while? There is nowhere to go but up. I was struggling. My girlfriend hung in there with me for 3 days. My football teammates, they dedicated the game to me. 36-0. They lost. I was kind of bitter towards God, thinking this isn't fair. I'm an athlete. I use my legs. These kinds of things should happen to chess players. But I was just hanging in there because that's the way I was raised. And you know where I received a lot of my characteristics from as a young man? From scouting. I was taught not to quit. My friends would pack the elevators. My mom and dad would sleep in the hospital room. But you know what? I'd be lying to you if I wouldn't tell you there were many days I wanted to close my eyes, pull the plug out of the wall, and disappear. Why didn't I? Because my friends and family were always there for me. And I owe a lot to them for being there. Torrey, he showed up at the hospital. He came and sat down the side of the hospital bed. Our eyes made contact. We both started crying. He handed me a book. I opened it up. On the left cover it said, "Mike, I will never forgive myself, but I hope someday you will." I recognized right then this didn't just happen to me. This happened to my family, my friends, the entire community. My nickname as a kid was Happy Shalappy. And all of a sudden I couldn't find much to smile about. My wife, by the way, on a regular basis calls me Crappy Shalappy. But I got out of intensive care. I was in a regular hospital room. My grandma Shalappy brought me a cherry Slurpee from 7-Eleven. 9 o'clock at night. I drank half the cherry Slurpee, put the remainder on the nightstand by the hospital bed, and I went to sleep. Well, they were still keeping a close eye on my vital signs. The nurse came in the room, checked my blood pressure, stuck a thermometer in my mouth, and left the room. Well, I'm 14 years old. I'm a brand new Eagle Scout. I needed something to laugh and smile about. What do you think I did? I took the thermometer out of my mouth and I stuck it in the last half of that cherry Slurpee. And it sat there and got nice and cold. 20 minutes later, I heard the nurse coming back down the hall. Just before she entered my room, I took the thermometer out of the Slurpee, put it in my mouth, acted like I hadn't moved. She came in the hospital bed, over the side of she leaned over, pulled it out of my mouth, looked at it, and got all nervous and hysterical. Why? Because this little thermometer doesn't lie, said I was dead. 20 or 30 degrees ago, and I got in trouble. But I'm here to tell you I laughed for the first time in a week. And that meant everything to me. And by the way, I'm not here this morning, this afternoon, to make anybody feel guilty. It is okay to have a bad day once in a while. But I have a challenge for you. Don't let it turn into a bad week. That's when you hang your head, you think you're no good, you think you don't matter. I'm here to tell you, you do. I lost a lot of my self-esteem. I watched my legs atrophy each and every day. But I promised myself I would never let my future, my dreams, my attitude atrophy. You know what the average person spends every day looking good for the world on the outside? 45 to 50 minutes a day on average. Well, John and Jeff, some of us a little bit less, but that's the average we spend looking good for the world on the outside, okay? Let's spend even half that much time working on our insides. I spent 5 months in rehabilitation. I would work up a sweat every day trying to make my big toe move. It never did. I spent 1 hour getting dressed differently than I'd known for 15 years. I wondered if girls would ever like me. Now I live in Utah, got 5 kids, a couple wives. I began to understand the power of the mind versus just the power of the body. I would touch that bullet that was still in my back every day and I'd think about everything I'd lost in life. But over time I started to reflect on what I had left. And that made a big difference in my life. I eventually got out of the hospital. I went back home. My family and friends were there. One day my mom was crying in the kitchen making pancakes. And she said, "Son, are you okay?" And I said, "Mom, I'm okay." And she said, "You know, Mike, just because you can't stand up doesn't mean you can't stand out." And like these good scouts, sometimes when an adult, somebody that's older than you, believes in you, especially when it's your mom or dad, that makes all the difference in the world. My 11-year-old sister Julie, she literally became my private nurse. My brother Scott, I'd played basketball with him since we were 3 years old. I'd go to the high school basketball games. I'd be sitting up in the rafters in a wheelchair. He'd be out in front of the entire student body, and I'd cry through every game. And I knew that I needed to find some new passions in life. So I started playing wheelchair basketball. I grabbed a ball in the backyard. I took a shot at that hoop. It fell 5 feet short. My dad knew I was struggling. He came over and he said, "You know, Mike, you can still be a great athlete. You're just going to have to do it a little differently." So I sit here in front of you in a wheelchair. I used to be able to do 10,000 things. Now I can only do 9,900. I can't do dishes, laundry, toilets. I started running marathons. Some of you are probably runners. I'd push 25 miles every day, training for my first marathon. July 24th, 1981, halfway between Salt Lake City and Park City. The first 13 miles were uphill. 5 o'clock in the morning, me and 7 of my wheelchair buddies, we take off. We're 3 miles into the race. I'm focused on the top of that mountain. 10 more miles, I'm starting to get blisters. I'm starting to sweat. Fear and uncertainty and doubt were starting to creep into my mind. And then they let all the ABs go. Oh, that's you, the able bodies, okay? So all the ABs are passing me on the uphill. And I'm struggling along, and this guy with the yellow shirt patted me on the left shoulder. "Good job, Mike. Don't quit. You're an inspiration." I kept pushing. I remember thinking, "Thanks. Shut up." Wait till the downhill. And then came the downhill. Picture this, 500 runners looking over their right shoulder, seeing 8 wheelchairs coming at them at 45 miles an hour. I even passed Yellow Shirt. What do you think I thought? As I patted him on the butt. "Good job, don't quit. You're an inspiration. I'll see you at the finish line." I got to the finish line, and it was like a parade. Everybody was clapping. And that felt good, and I was 100 yards away from the finish line, and I thought, wait a minute. Everybody was clapping 3 hours ago when I took off. Now they're clapping at the end. What about the 26 miles in between? That's when I learned all motivation is self-motivation. Love and money and fear can motivate us, but we've got to get our butts out of bed in the morning and be thankful to be alive. I never appreciated my legs till I lost them. And I crossed the finish line in that race, and I thought, my dad's right. I can still be a great athlete. I'll just have to do it a little differently. Now, I am no different than you. Life is full of ups and downs. I was just getting used to this new world. I was arm wrestling my weightlifting coach. I was a junior in high school. I had a new girlfriend. I'm strong. My coach was strong. We're doing our thing. And he busted my right arm. My elbow shattered. Funny bone went all the way into the palm of my hand. Wasn't funny. Hauled me to the hospital. Reintroduced me to all the same doctors and nurses. Put a cast from here to here. Sent me back to school. Now I've got 4 limbs and only this one worked. I went in circles for 3 months. But I still found a way to smile. Something more important happened in the hospital. They flipped me over, sliced open my back, and took that little 38 caliber piece of lead out of my spine. They handed it to me. I held it in the palm of my right hand that day. I looked at it, and I started shaking and quivering because this little piece of lead symbolized so much loss and heartache in my young life. But I will admit you here today, it's about the time in my life I let it go. I got the lead out, so to speak, and I've been sitting on my butt for the last 28 years, so you won't sit on yours. And you know what? I forgave my friend. And that made all the difference. If you can forgive others and ask forgiveness, you can do anything. Torrey, he took a different route in life. He moved away from the neighborhood a year later, got involved in drugs and alcohol, tried to rob a bank with a loaded gun. He spent the last 25 years in federal prison in Fort Leavenworth. We make mistakes, we move on. All of these things are happening to me as a young man, scouting age. All the principles that I learned in scouting, I was applying. You know, my friends were always there for me. They were being courteous and kind, and I was being courageous and cheerful. All those things that I didn't even realize that I'd learned in scouting, I was applying to help overcome my disability. We all have disabilities in life, don't we? You know what the greatest disability in life is? Being a Buckeye fan. Where's John? All right. Oh. Yeah. Oh, there you are, John. Sorry. I mustered up the courage one evening to go to a school dance. I didn't want to go because I thought I'll make my friends feel uncomfortable. Girls will not want to dance with me. But I remember climbing off that couch into my wheelchair, jumping in my black car and driving to the school dance with hand controls. I parked in the handicapped parking stall. There are a few advantages. And I went into the dance. And everybody was looking at me. Well, I'm used to people looking at me. Doesn't even look, you're all staring at me. Doesn't even bother me. I feel like wearing a t-shirt. I got shot. What's your problem? And you know, that is my problem. I got shot. But everyone has a problem, don't they? Some of us struggle with doubt. Some of us struggle with debt, divorce, death, all kinds of things. But I was proud of myself for showing up at that school dance. And it felt awkward. I found a dark corner. I popped a wheelie, and I was remembering the past, wishing things were how they used to be. And I saw a girl named Wendy start walking towards me. I thought, don't even think about it. Well, she kept getting closer and closer. So I let my front wheels down, and I started like looking at the ground. But I could still see her legs coming towards me, and so I'm kind of like... And she got about 8 feet away, and I looked up, and she said, Mike, I want to dance. I remember thinking, go for it. I'd be happy to watch you. Mike, I want to dance with you. Okay. So I wheeled out on the dance floor. I'm pushing along and thinking, this isn't very much fun. Why'd my friends shoot me? I'm having a bad day. And I started dancing with an attitude. I couldn't wait for the song to end. I even popped a wheelie, turned a circle. The song finally ended. I tried to shake Wendy's hand and go back over there because that's where I felt comfortable. And when I extended my hand, Wendy said, Mike, I want one more dance. 6 words I'll never forget. Mike, I want one more dance. I said, okay. What kind of music do you think started coming through the speakers? Slow music. I didn't know what to do. Wendy didn't know what to do. She's 7 or 8 feet away. She's nervous. I'm sweating bullets. No pun intended. It was awkward. And eventually Wendy came over and knelt down on the ground right next to me. So I started patting her on the head to the beat of the music. Wendy, this isn't working very well. I'm messing up your hair. Why don't you just sit on my lap? So Wendy stood up, I backed up, she came over and plopped down sideways on my lap. And you know, I quickly became the envy of every young boy in that school. The song ended. I shook Wendy's hand. She went to her corner. I went to mine. No, I didn't marry Wendy. She had a smile. I had a smile on my face and a smile on my heart. And I was grateful that some young person at 16 years old understood what makes this world go around. And you know what it is? There is nothing wrong with a good book or a good movie or chocolate. But love and caring and compassion are what makes this world go around. And I believe you're that kind of person. That's why you're here at this luncheon today. And I thank you, I salute you. And I know Wendy could have danced with Roger or Phil or Lance, but she took a chance to dance with me. The world is made of givers and takers. The takers eat well. The givers sleep well. I went to school dances for the next couple of years, and my friends would bring all my extra wheelchairs to the school dances. I think we know why, don't we? They wanted the girls to sit on their laps too, but that experience made a big difference in my life. Well, you probably heard in the introduction that I love wheelchair basketball. When I was 16 years old, I set a goal in life to represent you and 400 million Americans in what I think is the greatest sporting event in the world, the Paralympic Games for disabled athletes. This is not the Special Olympics. Trust me, I'm not that special. Paraplegics, quadriplegics, blind athletes, amputees, amazing athletes. 600 of us loaded 2 airplanes in San Francisco. We're the first ones on the plane. They put our wheelchairs in the belly of the plane. They tell us to remain seated. My teammate, Reggie Colton, double amputee from Florida, like a spider monkey, climbs up in the luggage bins. It's a team tradition. Coach shuts him in there. We read the newspaper. They start letting all the ABs like you come on the airplane. What's the first thing you're looking to do when you get on the airplane? Some unlucky passenger opens that up, and you think paraplegics have bladder problems. Seoul, Korea, 1988. The United States of America beat Holland by 10 points. A gold medal. They raised the American flag, which I love. They played our national anthem. I had a tear in my eyes. They put the gold medal around our necks. I remembered 10 years earlier, lying in a hospital bed, wondering if I would ever play sports again. I was back in Utah, showing my family and friends. My mom was all excited. My shiny gold medal. I even have it here. My mom liked it so much she was going to bronze it. 1992, Barcelona, Spain. My second games. My motto as I trained was no pain, no Spain. Again, we beat Holland by 3 points. Another gold medal, another national anthem, the flag was raised. Where's that gold medal? I lost it. Why? My teammate tested positive for drugs. Everything you do here in this wonderful community of Port Huron affects everybody else in this community. 1996, Atlanta, Georgia. Best wheelchair basketball team ever put together. Our country, our food, our family. We're supposed to win. Semifinals, we got beat at the buzzer. We didn't know how to handle adversity. We retreated into the locker room. Coach was yelling at us, chucking wheelchairs. Some of us were still in those wheelchairs. We got up the next night, we beat Spain by 9 points to win a bronze medal. I didn't like it. I hate to lose. I went back to Utah, I put it in my sock drawer. It was my motivation for 4 more years of training. Sydney, Australia, Summer Games in 2000, another shot at the gold. Again, my friends, we got beat at the buzzer. My friends retreated into the locker room. I sat at center court and I looked at the flags and the athletes, and I reflected on what a privilege it had been to represent you and our great country over the course of 16 years on 4 Paralympic teams. We got up the next evening with the right attitude, and we beat Great Britain on a 35-foot shot at the buzzer to win the bronze. And if you'd have seen us that evening dog-piling on top of each other in the middle of the basketball court, you'd have never thought we lost the gold. You'd have known that we won the bronze. And in life, with all your challenges, you don't find out who you are when the sun is shining. You find out about your attitude and your character when there's a little bit of adversity. I didn't go home and throw that bronze medal in the sock drawer. I have it with me here. 3rd place in a world of 7 billion people isn't too bad. My mom doesn't have to bronze it. I have 2 gold medals and 2 bronze medals. I don't have any silver medals. They lose their last game, okay? These are symbols of excellence. I earned them with teammates and family and friends. They do mean a lot to me. You know, I think about all the adversities that we have in life, and I don't know you personally, but I do salute every one of you for dealing with your challenges in life. Might be health related, might be relationship related, whatever it is, everybody's problems are real to them. Most of you aren't in wheelchairs that I can see, but we struggle with things. But we overcome and we become stronger. This is the bullet that came out of my neck, out of my back, 26 years ago. I want you to know that now I can hold it in the palm of my right hand. I look at it and I accept it. It's part of me. And in some ways, I'm a better person because of this bullet. And I do put it around my neck, and I will let it take an equal place with these Olympic medals in my life because of what it means to me. Well, I have one other item, if you'll allow, that I'd like to put on myself here this afternoon. And you'll recognize this right there. My parents were my scoutmasters. I got 28 merit badges. This means a lot to me. And I won't put it around my neck. How about if we just put it right there in that pocket? But the principles that I learned as a young man in scouting, I believe, helped me overcome this bullet and helped me earn these medals. I have a challenge for all of you. When you lay your head on your pillow this evening, wherever that might be, look deep inside and try to identify that bullet in your life that stops you from being the best person that you can be. You know, I love our flag, and I'd like to finish my remarks here this afternoon, and I'd like to speak to you as if I were our flag. I've been able to represent that flag over the course of many years. I've seen it raised to the rafters. It's been in places that many of us can only imagine. I hope the rest of your life, when you see a flag, it'll be a reminder, a representation, if you will, in the value that there is in standing for something worthwhile. So what do I think our flag would say if it could speak? I am your flag. I was born on June 14th, 1777. I am more than just cloth shaped into a design. I am the refuge of the world's oppressed people. I am the silent sentinel of freedom. I am the emblem of the greatest sovereign nation on earth. And I am the inspiration for which American patriots give their lives and fortunes. I have led your sons into battle from Valley Forge to the steaming, treacherous jungles of Vietnam, into Afghanistan and Iraq. I've walked in silence with each of your honored dead to their final resting place beneath silent white crosses, row upon row. I have flown through war and peace, strife and prosperity, and amidst it all, I have been respected. My red stripes symbolize blood spilled in defense of our glorious nation. My white stripes signify burning tears shed by Americans who lost their sons or daughters in battle. My blue field is indicative of God's heaven under which I fly. And my white stars clustered together unify 50 states as one for God and country. Old Glory is my nickname. Proudly I wave on high. Honor me, respect me, defend me with your lives and fortunes. Never let my enemies tear me down from my lofty position, lest I never return. Keep alight the fires of patriotism. Strive earnestly for the spirit of democracy. Worship the eternal God and keep His commandments. And I shall always remain a bulwark of peace and freedom for all mankind. And my friends here, I lost the freedom to walk 28 years ago. But because of great people like you and our flag and what it represents and the principles I learned in scouting, I have never lost the freedom to dream. I have people say, Mike, if you could go back to that day and change it, would you? My first thoughts are, of course. But then I reflect, and you know, if you'd been where I'd been, seen what I'd seen, know what I know, and most importantly, felt what I'd felt, I thank God for pain. Because only when you feel pain do you change. And only when you change do you grow. And only when you grow do you begin to understand the beauty that lies within each and every one of us. God gave me the gift of life when I was lying on that white bedspread and I asked for it. And I promised Him I'd help as many people in this world as I could. And so I'm here today for a reason. Just a little simple reminder to all of us that in life, as we struggle along, whether or not we can or we can't stand up, we all have the ability to stand out. Thank you very much for letting me share my story with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sure. I'm in good hands.
Thank you very much, Mike. Truly an inspiration to our group today. We appreciate it. I'd like to next introduce our council president I mentioned earlier, Will Oldford. Will is finishing up his term as council president. He's been 1 month shy of 2 years, and this may be one of his last official acts as council president. But everybody welcome Will.
Thank you, John. Mike, on behalf of everybody here and on behalf of our community, I want to thank you today. Your courage, your talent, and your inspiration. I think everybody here is heartfelt. Thank you for representing us. We truly do appreciate it. As I think all of you know, I certainly hope you do when your table host invited you here today, this is a fundraiser. The good news is, as John mentioned earlier, Citizens First, Marsh Campbell, and the Citizens First Foundation has picked up the tab for everything today. So every dollar that you're willing to give to us today will go directly to help the Scouts in our community. Our community is Sanilac and St. Clair County. Hopefully we can help generate some more individuals that represent people like Mike. But many of you are Scouts yourselves. You know what Scouting has done for our community. If the table hosts would please pass out the cards. And I'd ask my table if they'd like to use some self-help. And John's as well. Just a little about the Blue Water Council. I don't know if you know it, but we're one of the smallest councils in the nation. And several years ago, there was Chip, I know you're around here somewhere, and I know Chip was one of the ones that helped lead the fight. But there was an opportunity for us to merge with Flint Council, and the local leaders at that time chose not to. One of the reasons why we were able to prevent that was the fact that we were financially strong. One of the reasons why we're here today. We have over 3,000 youth that we serve in Sanilac and St. Clair County. The Friends of Scouting campaign amounts to about 20% of our budget. What was it? Oh. No. So please give generously. Appreciate you coming today. When you're done, pass your cards back to your table hosts. Table hosts, as I believe you know, please turn your cards into Jamie and or Jeff. And again, this is our second annual. We hope to do it again. Last year we had 150 people come, and this year we have 250. So we hope to outgrow this room shortly. Thank you very much.
Our last order of business is a benediction. I'd like to call on Jack Zimmer. Jack, are you in the room? Come on down, Jack. You're the next contestant. Jack Zimmer is a longtime scouter and a great asset to our organization. He's done a lot of work over the years. He has, how many eagles do you have in your family, Jack?
My direct family?
Yes.
2, 1 more coming.
Jack has raised 2 eagles, and he's got 1 on the way. And so let's welcome Jack for our benediction. One last announcement is that Mike Schlappy is over here in the corner. Mike is willing to shake your hand and go and thank him for being here if you like. He does have he was a little shy to say it, so I'm going to say it for him. But he does have a book and a DVD here that if you'd like to take a look at that, it's over there for Mike. And maybe even if you take one, he might even sign one for you. I didn't ask that ahead of time, but we'll get him a pen. All right, Jack Zimmer, thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I'm a Scoutmaster for Troop 216 in Marysville, and at the end of every Scout meeting we have a closing. It consists of 2 things. First thing is a Scoutmaster's Minute. It's where the Scoutmaster leaves the Scouts with a word of wisdom to think about until the next meeting. And the second thing is a short prayer. I'm just going to reiterate cover what I did last night. This week I reminded the Scouts that no matter how you, your family, or the media feels about the war in Iraq or in Afghanistan, the troops need our support and have volunteered to be in harm's way to protect your right to come to this meeting and remain free to travel around this beautiful country of ours. With Easter upon us, these men and women will be coming home to visit their families. So when you see one of them, take the time to say thank you. They will most certainly remember it forever. I currently have a brother-in-law, my daughter just returned, and a nephew that's serving in Iraq. So that means something very special to me. One of the Scout promises is to be reverent. In Scouting being a worldwide program, we have to deal with all religions and cultures. It doesn't matter if it's Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, as long as they believe in a higher power. So we make reference to the great master, and please follow me with the Scout prayer. If you could please rise for a minute. May the great master of all good Scouts be with us till we meet again. Thank you, and good day. Will?
That is our program. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
The land of the free. They've taken me on quite a ride, and through the years I realized the man I came to be. Summer camp and evening fires, singing songs and counting stars, the bridges that we learned to cross to keep us safe from the river's force. And I just wanna say I'm proud to be a Scout today and living in the USA, the land of the free. The Boy Scout pledge gave to me a vision to be much more than I thought I could see. Now every day I strive to be an example in my community. Helping others in times of need is living out the Boy Scout creed. and I just want